I want to shift gears, guys, and go back to the cloud, because I think that's what everybody on the event today is here to hear. And that's where I think there's the most ambiguity right now, right? Like the cloud is still a new thing, despite not really being new. So we started off this conversation by, talking about what the cloud was. I think we should probably kick off the next phase of this conversation and talk about, what cloud security or securing the cloud, like what that actually means to an organization and to an individual user.
Yeah, and that's why we do these kind of things, is to kind of help educate, for organizations, the partners that are serving those end users and organizations, doing series of workshops like this surrounding the security in today's environment, and helping, provide no-cost education. We've got on both portals, both our portal and the SonicWall portal, there's tons of great educational materials and courses that you can go through. We can help in distribution. We can help with creative financing terms, stocking and shipping options. But our goal is to really be the start to finish standard as their distribution partner, and making all that stuff easy to do so. And now on the technical side, JT.
Yeah. So, I always think of the cloud. We talked about at the beginning, but you're now trusting a lot of services that you were maybe traditionally providing on-prem to a service provider. And in typical situations, they can provide much better scalability, costing, and just overall access. So that's why they're preferred by a lot of customers. That's why you see huge explosions in adoption in those places. And Cam, circling back to what you said about like, it's new, but it's not. I think the reason that cloud still feels new is because the acceleration of applications that get developed there, right? 5 years ago, you talked about like mail or something as being the primary one. And now they have all kinds of cloud delivered services like voice over IP or, file shares, peer-to-peer sharing. We're doing video conferencing right now, which is a heavily cloud-based application. So it's like these explosion of apps create flexibility for workers, right? We're all working remotely right now. We're all connected. We're sharing this with, a couple hundred people around the world. That's pretty cool. But it also exposes us to new threats, new risk. And I think that's the part that, when I think of securing the cloud, it's like, how do I continue to offer a common security platform moving forward?
Gotcha.
So I'm a little nervous right now. I feel like I'm a very trusting person. Yeah. I feel like we at ChannelBytes, we are pretty cutting edge as far as cloud adoption in our business. And it sounds like you're telling me that that's not enough. And I feel like I'm paying for these services, shouldn't these SaaS solutions or whatever, isn't that part of what I'm paying for in my monthly subscription?
I'll say it can be. It typically isn't by default, right? We're a cost-driven economy. People are always looking for the best deal or the best pricing, and you're running a business, so you want to be cost efficient. So typically, like the base level licensing packages are not inclusive of security, and they make a lot of assumptions, right? They'll assume that you're going to secure your network at a certain minimum before they pop in. So they might say, hey, we could provide uptime and availability and a secure way to access it, but maybe they're not securing the actual data there. And I'll pick on Microsoft. They're not the only ones. It's not like unique to them. They do a really good job in a lot of areas, but if you read their like fine print when you sign up for an Office 365 mail subscription, you'll notice that they don't cover things like backup. And we're not talking about backups, but just if you think about that, the assumption is that they do for a lot of people. And so I encourage all people to really take a look at what am I subscribing to and what are they actually covering. I was joking with a guy the other day, and he said that the longest part of like sales or like transactional purchases of SaaS products is in the legal piece of who's responsible for what for large enterprises. So when you think about that, who is actually responsible for things like securing your data in that cloud, making sure that you don't send a malicious attachment somewhere, or making sure that one of your end users or your clients don't get phished, right? Phishing is a big piece. Like, are they protecting that? Maybe, but probably not. And typically they'll sell, all the providers will sell some sort of additional service, but it's not typically out of the box that that's offered.
Okay, JT, what's in the SonicWall bag to address this stuff? I mean, clearly that's why we're having this conversation. So let's get to it.
Yeah. So the big piece, the part that like kind of hits home on cloud is something we have called Cloud Application Security. It gets abbreviated as CAS, C-A-S. And it's a platform designed to give you a single like management console for securing Office 365, Mail, things like SharePoint, Dropbox, Box. You know, there's quite a few cloud applications. We're adding more over the summer, like Teams and Slack. So it's a way of, instead of subscribing to individual security services from each one of these vendors, you as a provider or as a customer can have a single platform to manage a base level of security across all of those platforms. So, yeah, some cloud application security.
Okay, so do I really need to like secure my Dropbox, JT? Like, being real, like is photos of cats and cars something I need to worry about? Like, I guess the question is, like, do organizations really need to worry about this type of security, really? And because it seems like, you know, securing Slack or securing Dropbox or something, like, that doesn't seem mission critical to me.
Yeah, it may not be. I mean, there's certainly organizations that don't have that security requirement, but I think of like SonicWall, right? We have internal files that we share, and we're working remotely, and we're looking for ways to increase productivity, and they are business critical applications and business critical file shares that we need to share, like a firmware for new products, right? And how do we securely share that information? How do you make sure that I, JT, don't make a mistake and send that out to the world and give it to people that shouldn't have it, right? So it's definitely industry and customer specific, but I would say most customers have some sort of need for it. And beyond all of that, we're working from these devices that, like Chris alluded to at the beginning, he's like, I'm working from my cell phone, or I'm working from my home computer that my son plays Fortnite on, or whatever. Well, if there was a malicious piece of attachment, call it ransomware, and it was uploaded to your Dropbox, and then Cam goes and downloads that same piece of file, assuming that it's safe, you know, that's a risk vector, or risk channel for stuff to be transmitted across your network that's not being addressed. So I think it is important, but certainly, you know, your cat pictures are probably not the target.
You know what, though, when you frame it that way, like, it makes a lot of sense, because it just occurred to me that I don't actually have any Bitcoin. And so if I wind up getting ransomware, I might be a little screwed.
Yeah, you're about to find out how to buy some.